So congratulations, the observant amongst you will realise I'm not in the workshop and I'm not in the house. I'm actually at the back of the garden. And why am I at the back of the garden? Well, I'm actually keeping Bill and Ben company. For those of you who don't know, Bill and Ben were a children's show in the UK in the 50s, I think, 1950s. And they were called Bill and Ben the Flower Pot Men because they lived in flower pots. There you go, an interesting piece of trivia for those of you who don't live in the UK. So why am I at the end of the garden? Well, we'll find that out in a minute. But before we do, normal parish notices apply. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, can I ask you why not? Hit that subscribe icon. If you want to be notified when I put content up on the channel, hit the bell icon. If you want to contribute and support the channel, sponsor the channel, I will start putting sponsors' names up at some point when there's enough of a body of them. Go over to Patreon. That's www.patreon.com/themusictechguy.uk, and you get content ahead of everybody else. And we are still in COVID-19, so it's stay alert, stay safe, wash the pinkies, and we will come through this. But now back to the main video. So back to why am I sitting at the end of the garden? Well, this is a clue. And this is a clue. And this is not a clue, but it's an excuse to have a gin and tonic. And that is absolutely gorgeous. I've got another confession. This is not actually Sunday. This is Bank Holiday Monday. For one reason or another, yesterday I didn't get a chance to put the video together. So I decided today, because it is absolutely glorious here on the south coast in the UK, to do the video today and do a number of other things today. And I'm looking back over there and I can see my SY85 and my mini studio setup. But why am I sitting at the end of the garden? Well, the housemates and I have been having a chat, or a lot of chats. In fact, actually, we had rather a good drunken chat over the last couple of nights, to be honest. And we've kind of decided that we need a bit more space. And that's not because I've moved in, but that's just because we generally need a little bit more space, because each of us has our own things to do. So what we've been contemplating is this area behind me at the moment is putting up a shed, studio, workshop, whatever you want to call it, but just somewhere sort of more than a summer house, shall we say. And I've kind of been looking at a bunch of various options from us doing it ourselves, and there is a link down there to something I was looking at which was sort of about shed plans and what have you, to getting something a bit more substantial. But that's the reason why I'm sitting at the end of the garden, because I've been measuring up how big the end of the garden is, and other things that we need to do it. So we obviously need to run electricity down here. It needs to be properly insulated, and we're probably going to take the opportunity, or they're going to take the opportunity, to actually do the garden. So I kind of said I'll pitch in on the cost of the structure, but in terms of the garden itself, that's their job. So that's why I'm sitting at the end of the garden. I've been measuring up, and I thought this was a lovely place with the sort of shadow, the sun and the shadow on my face, for me to do this week's rent. So that's part one. This week's rant is not going to be particularly long, I don't think, because there's not an awful lot to say this week. We are still in the UK working from home. There's no sign that that's going to change anytime soon. The company I've worked for have pretty much told us all to stay out of the office until further notice, so that's kind of what we're doing. I've had a number of DMs on the channel about, and I think I said this last week when I did the video last week, but a number of people have been videoing or been DMing me about the music library, and can they get hold of the discs? And the answer is, of course you can get hold of the discs. In fact, actually, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pause the video, and I'll be back in a sec. Now, the reason why I paused the video is because I wanted to go and get a box, which I've got down on the floor in front of me, and I'm going to bring it up and put it on my knees. Now, people have said to me, what discs have I got in the library? And I've got a lot more discs in the library than I'm about to show you. I just haven't got round to making the copies onto disk at the moment. So, but what I thought I'd do is very quickly do a quick rundown of the discs that are currently available that you guys can, if you want to buy, from me. So, the first set of discs is for the T1, and these are the T-RAM series of discs, and they are TSD01 through to TSD09. In fact, actually should be through to TSD10. So there are 10 discs in this set. There they are, and they are synth, drums, combination 1, combination 2, combination 3, fretted instruments, ethnic, sound effects, environments, and voice. So that's the first set of 10 discs for the Korg T1. The second set of discs are again T-RAM disc series, and there are 10 of those as well. But they are called work disc 1 through 10. So there's work disc 1 and there's work disc 10. Okay, so they're TSD 101 to TSD 110. Another 10 discs there. They're all again for the Korg T series. Most of these are actually, funny enough, T-series discs at the moment. Then we have a series of discs for which were also called work discs. There were a lot of things on the T-series were called work discs for some reason. And these were slightly different names. So this was Live 1 DSM, Live 2 DSM, Live 3 DSM, Live 4 DSM, ARP Omni. Now that's actually a really good disc. I like that one. V330 Roland, again, good disc. Dance Party Sounds, AC Piano XL, and Synth Key. Okay, so that's another set of discs for the T series. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9 of those in that series. So if I put those back in there, like so, take those out. Then we have the factory restore disc for the T1. And then we have a series of discs that have kind of been created from M1 T1 cards. So we've got the Valhalla B101, the Valhalla B102, the Valhalla B103, the Valhalla M101, the Valhalla M103, the Valhalla M104. Then we have the Grey Sounds Dual Bank series. Then we have the Voice Crystal 1 and Voice Crystal 2 discs for the T1, T series. And then that black disc at the end is a disc with my scribbled writing on it, so that's not really on the list. And then we have some interesting, so we have a disc by someone called Top Productions for T1. Then we have some more T-series work discs. There's another 3 of those. That's work disc is called World, work disc called Ambition, work disc called Siphon. Then we have the TSD Grand Piano work disc, the TSD FM piano work disc, the TSD Hammond work disc, and the M1 Rex Super R&D disc. Getting there, won't be long. Then we move on to this set of discs. Now these are all effectively M1 duplicates. So we start with The these are all for T1, for the T series, but they were originally M1 discs. The general disc, the synth disc, the drums 1 disc, the synth 2 disc, the percussion disc, the organ disc, the ethnic disc, the brass disc, the sound effects disc, the drum 2's disc, the environment disc, the Akari disc, the piano disc, the fretted instruments disc, the ethnic 2 disc, the world omnibus disc, the Bun May disc, the rhythm standard disc, and the orchestral disc. Okay, so they were all M1 sounds that were replicated onto the T1. And then we come on to a set of discs from a company called Legendary Masters. And we have violin, cello, drums 1, drums 2, drums 3, orchestra hit, orchestra hit 2, orchestra hit 3, effect 1, effect 2, Japan, Japan 2, Japan 3, Japan 4, ethnic 1, ethnic 2, ethnic 3, rock set, western set, avant-garde. Okay. Like so. They were all discs for the T1, T series. Then we move across to the Roland S50. And we've got the SIS operating disc. There you go. And then we've got RBS 50, which is a set of samplers. So there's the Roland Soundbank for SM which are there. That's electronic piano. For the S50, synthesizer, acoustic guitar, harpsichord and pipe organ, electric bass, GT drums, woodwinds, and baritone. Okay, so they're the ones for the S50. Now, if you've got an S550, an S350, those discs can be loaded. You just need to go through a conversion procedure to put those into your new one. And then for the S750, if I can get them out of the box. There you go. So for the S750 at the moment, we have sound disc 1, sound disc 2, sound disc 3, and the tutorial disc. So those are all the discs that are currently available from the disc library for you guys to purchase if you want replacement media. In addition to that, there's a number of other things. So you saw me a couple of weeks ago hold up some more T1 discs, which were from Sound Source. They will be going into the disc library shortly. They haven't gone so far. And then some stuff arrived this week for the Ensoniq series. And these are Joey DiFrancesco, so their organ. Again, more from the Joey DiFrancesco, that's split jazz. Solo jazz and harp, contracentina, and recorder. Oh, I think the recorder is the most horrible instrument in the world. I made a complete muller of it. But that's from the Richard Southern series. And there's another Richard Southern, which is bells, Hammond, and flute, and another one which is percussion and brass, which are those two there. So they arrived this week. So the disc library is starting to get stocked up with some very good discs. As I said, the whole concept of the disc library, it's not a money-making venture. It's a venture to allow these discs to be preserved, because if they're not preserved and they're not stored in some way, then the media will eventually die and we will lose them. And one of the biggest things that I found, a lot of people have been asking me about emulators. Can I put an emulator on my machine? And I go, yeah, you can put emulators on your machine, but do you know how to copy the sounds onto the USB stick so they run on your emulator? And given the problems that I've had building the sound library in terms of the machines and the operating systems and the version numbers, and have I got the right image file set up, that's kind of, I sort of see the emulators as a great idea, but in terms of setting the emulator up to replicate the format of the target system that you're going for is not the easiest thing in the world to do. And I see a lot of people buying emulators, and I see them on eBay all the time. Emulator, I'll give you 100 discs, and what they do is effectively they've got an image of discs on the USB, and they copy those images onto the USB drive, and you get them, and that's what you get. They don't have a mechanism for copying and preserving the discs. They just have a mechanism for making money out of you guys, which is not my intention. Yes, I will make charges for media that comes off the media library, but that is to cover my costs, not to make a profit. So that's kind of this week's rant. Sitting at the end of the garden, enjoying the sunshine, and drinking a really nice gin and tonic. So cheers, and remember, guys, live long and prosper. I'll see you guys next week.